Welcome to Hidden Path Tarot, where hidden truths come to light, intuition becomes your compass, and spirit gently reveals the unseen path ahead. If you have found your way here, trust that there's a message meant to shine the light on your hidden path. Hi, this message is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements. Taurus, this is your mid-August reading. We're going to start here with your past path. Spirits, let's get one card that best represents the past path. What card do we need to see? The Star. And spirits, this will be for Taurus's present path. What is the energy around the present path for Taurus? What lesson is Taurus currently working through? The Page of Wands. And this will be for the heart path. What is going on in matters of the heart, self-worth, or emotional fulfillment for Taurus in August? What card do we need to see for their heart path, spirits? The Ace of Cups. And this will be for the purpose path. Work, money, or Taurus's soul's journey. What unique gifts or talents is Taurus meant to share with the world in August? The Six of Swords. And the hidden path, spirits. This is why we're here. Tell us about secrets, lies, and unseen intentions. What does Taurus not see coming? The Nine of Wands. And the guidance path. Let's get some clear advice for Taurus for the rest of August. Where should Taurus be focusing their energy for the most progress? I want to take the Knight of Wands. And these are the Forest Spirits Oracle. Forest Spirits, this is for Taurus's mid-August reading. Let's get a card for the past path for Taurus. What card best represents the past path? We've got two. Okay, we've got the Dragon Spirit and the Butterfly Spirit. Okay, so Dragon Spirit, Guardian. Tap into your untamed spirit to conquer obstacles and defend what is dear to you. And the Butterfly Spirit. Welcome change and emerge stronger, just as the butterfly emerges from its cocoon. And spirits, this will be for Taurus's present path. What card do we need to see that best represents the present path for Taurus? What lesson is Taurus currently working through? Fox Spirit, strategy. Employ the power of your vision and long-term planning to bring your ideas to life. And the heart path. Matters of the heart, self-worth, and emotional fulfillment. What kind of patterns are surfacing for Taurus? The stag spirit, leadership. Stand tall as your true self and lead with confidence, integrity, and compassion. And this will be for Taurus's purpose path. Work, money, soul's journey. Spirits, what card do we need to see for the purpose path for Taurus? What steps can Taurus take to align more fully with their life purpose? Green Fairy, imagination. Explore the mysterious allure of creativity and embrace your inner uniqueness. And this is the hidden path for Taurus. Secrets, lies, and unseen intentions. What does Taurus not see coming? Grasshopper spirit, research challenge. Be brave enough to take risk and try to exercise your agile reaction ability and versatile skills. And the guidance path, spirits. What important information does Taurus need to know for their highest good? Bear spirit, untamed spirit. Allow yourself to run wild and free as you explore your own fierce but gentle nature. And these are the Unstoppable You Oracle. Unstoppable You. This is for Taurus, mid-August reading. Let's get a card for Taurus's past path. What card do we need to see that best represents the past path? This is worth it. And the present path. Unstoppable You. What lesson is Taurus currently working through? What is the card for the Taurus collective? Trust the process. And the heart path, Unstoppable You. What is going on in matters of the heart, self-worth, and Taurus's emotional fulfillment? What kind of pattern is surfacing for Taurus in the relationship with others? Stop playing small. And the purpose path. What is going on with work, money, or soul's journey? What steps can Taurus take to align more fully with their life purpose? Be louder than doubt. And the hidden path, Unstoppable You. What does Taurus not see coming? What is being kept hidden? Tell us about secrets, lies, and unseen intentions. Done is better than perfect. And the guidance path. Let's get some clear advice for the highest good of all Taurus. What card will give them the best advice for August? Permission granted. And Taurus, I thought it would be fun to add one of the Love Vibes Oracle cards to your heart path this month. Let's see what love vibes want to come out for you in your heart path. Matters of the heart, self-worth, and emotional fulfillment. You've got someone new, someone unexpected could soon shift your perspective on love You're not done discovering what your heart is capable of. Taurus, after looking at all your cards, your mid-August reading feels like a turning point between recovering your confidence and actually using it. There is a noticeable shift happening here. Something in the recent past seems to have helped you reconnect with hope, possibility, or a version of yourself that you thought had been buried underneath all of the disappointment, exhaustion, or uncertainty. But now the cards are asking a different question. What are you going to do with that renewed hope? Because this reading isn't really about waiting for everything to fall perfectly into place, Taurus. It's about experimenting, taking a chance, following your curiosity, opening yourself up emotionally, and allowing yourself to move forward even when part of you still feels cautious. There may be something new beginning around you, particularly in your emotional life. But the bigger message is about becoming more available to your life again. Your confidence doesn't have to be perfect before you move. Your plan doesn't have to be complete. And you don't need to eliminate every doubt before you decide that something is worth exploring. Mid-August may be asking you to stop standing at the edge of possibility and begin participating in it. Let's walk the paths together now. The past path, the star, dragon spirit guardian, and butterfly spirit transform, and this is worth it. The star suggests that the recent path has involved some kind of emotional recalibration. This could have followed disappointment, burnout, heartbreak, or simply a period where you weren't entirely sure what direction you were heading. The star often appears when someone begins believing in possibility again, but usually after they've had a reason to doubt it. And I think that dragon spirit and butterfly spirit tell us something important about how you're arriving here. You've been both protecting yourself and changing yourself. Those two things can sometimes feel contradictory. The dragon spirit represents protection, boundaries, and guarding what matters. You may have become more selective about who gets access to you, where your energy goes. The butterfly, meanwhile, suggests that something about your identity, expectations, or emotional perspective has been evolving. So Taurus, you may have spent the recent past asking, what do I still believe in? Is there anything I'm willing to fight for? And what am I finally willing to leave behind? This is worth it suggests that despite whatever difficulty has brought you here, there is something you still believe deserves the effort. This could be a relationship or even a personal goal, or maybe even your own emotional healing. This has to do with the life you're trying to build. And that matters because this card combination doesn't feel naive. You're not hopeful because nothing happened, because nothing difficult happened. You're hopeful because something difficult happened and you're realizing it doesn't get to determine everything that comes next. Your present path, the Page of Wands, Fox Spirit, strategy, and trust the process. Now we see where Taurus is beginning to experiment again. The Page of Wands is curious, adventurous, restless, and willing to explore something before knowing exactly where it's going. And Taurus, that may feel slightly uncomfortable because you often prefer to understand what something is, whether it's reliable, and whether it's worth investigating before you fully commit. But the Page of Wands says you don't have to commit yet. You may simply just need to explore. There could be a new idea, a conversation, opportunity, or a lifestyle change starting to capture your attention. You might find yourself thinking, hey, what if I tried that? What if I went over there? What if I went somewhere different? What if I reached out? What if I actually pursued that idea? And the fox spirit adds a strategy. So this isn't about impulsively throwing your entire life into something because you're excited for 5 minutes. It's about being curious and intelligent about it. Explore the opportunity, ask the questions, do the research, test the waters, make a small move and see what happens. Trust the process is especially helpful here because you may be frustrated that something isn't fully come together yet, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be so frustrating. Some opportunities reveal themselves through your participation. You don't always get the entire map before you start taking the first step, Taurus. The heart path, Ace of Cups, Stag Spirit, stop playing small and love vibes someone new. This is probably the most noticeable shift in the entire spread. The Ace of Cups is emotional openness. It can absolutely represent a new romantic opportunity, especially when you see this something new. But I wouldn't limit this card entirely just to romance, though. The deeper story is that you appear to be becoming emotionally available again, and that alone is very significant. The Stag Spirit carries a sense of dignity, confidence, leadership, and an emotional presence. It suggests that you're being asked to approach relationships differently, Taurus, not from the position of wondering whether someone chooses you, but from the position of recognizing that you are also doing the choosing, and that mental change can change everything. If someone new enters your life, you may notice that you are evaluating the connection differently than you would have in the past. Instead of asking, do they like me? You may start asking, do I like who I am around them? Are they emotionally available? Does their behavior match what they're saying? And even, is this actually what I want? And stop playing small suggests that you have previously accepted less emotional fulfillment than you truly needed. Maybe you downplayed your needs. Maybe you even convinced yourself you didn't need those certain things. You stayed comfortable because wanting more felt risky. The Ace of Cups challenges all of that. Something new doesn't necessarily mean a guaranteed new relationship. It means new emotional potential is available. For some of you, that could genuinely appear as meeting someone new, feeling a fresh attraction, or beginning a relationship that feels emotionally different. For others, it may mean approaching love with a completely different mindset. Either way, the message is similar. Don't shrink your emotional needs just to make something easier to maintain. The purpose path. Six of Swords, green fairy imagination, and be louder than doubt. Your purpose path is asking you to move away from mental environments that have been keeping you stuck. The Six of Swords usually represents a transition, and transitions aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they're incredibly practical. It can look like not arguing with that person anymore, not reopening that old conversation, not replaying the decision. But it can also look like changing your routine, changing your surroundings, looking for a different job, trying a different approach, or simply deciding that something no longer deserves as much mental space as you're giving it. The green fairy imagination adds another dimension. You need to be able to picture the life beyond the situation you're leaving. Sometimes people stay stuck because the familiar problem feels more believable than the unfamiliar possibility. You may know what isn't working, but still struggle to imagine what could actually replace it. That's where this be louder than doubt becomes important. Doubt doesn't always just disappear. Sometimes you move while doubt is still talking. You simply stop letting it make the decisions. This path is asking you to create a stronger internal voice, Taurus. One that says, maybe this can work. Wait, maybe there's another option. Maybe I'm more capable than I've been giving myself credit for. And that's not blind optimism, Taurus. That's flexibility. That's allowing possibilities into the conversation instead of letting every fear have the microphone. The hidden path, 9 of Wands, Grasshopper Spirit Research Challenge, and done is better than perfect. Here is where we see the part of Taurus that is still guarded. The 9 of Wands says you've learned from your experiences, Taurus. You've been through enough to know that optimism doesn't guarantee an easy outcome. And because of that, you may have found yourself double-checking everything, researching, analyzing, watching, preparing, anticipating the problems. And some of that is healthy. It really is. Grasshopper Spirit encourages research and a healthy challenge. So your discernment isn't something you being asked to abandon. But paired with done is better than perfect, there's a warning about turning preparation into procrastination. At some point, researching becomes avoiding. Thinking becomes stalling. And at some point, protecting yourself becomes preventing anything new from happening. You may be telling yourself, I just need a little bit more information, or I'm almost ready, or I need to figure out just this one more thing. But the hidden lesson is that you might already know enough to take that next step. You don't need to know the entire path or how the entire story will end. You only need just enough information to make the next reasonable decision. And the guidance path, Knight of Wands, Bear Spirit, Untamed Spirit, and Permission Granted. And this is where the reading becomes much more bolder. The Knight of Wands, that's movement, experimentation, adventure, taking the initiative. And the Bear Spirit, Untamed Spirit, brings something wonderfully instinctive into the reading. Your natural self wants some room again. Maybe you've been too responsible for too long. Careful, measured, patient, protective. And all of those are wonderful, valuable qualities, Taurus. But sometimes being responsible becomes being overly restrained. The guidance here isn't telling you to become reckless. It's telling you to let yourself have some fire. Follow something because you're excited about it. Say yes because you're curious. Go somewhere because you want to experience it. Make the call. Send the application. Start the project. Flirt. Create. Experiment. Permission granted may be one of the most important messages in the entire spread because, Taurus, you may be subconsciously waiting for someone or something to validate your next move. You may be waiting for certainty, waiting for someone's approval or the perfect opportunity. But this card says you are allowed to move because you want something different. You don't need a dramatic justification. Desire can sometimes be enough information for you to begin exploring. Taurus, mid-August could feel surprisingly active. You may notice yourself being more curious about what's next rather than constantly thinking about what happened before. A new conversation could catch your attention. A project may suddenly feel exciting again. You might begin researching an opportunity that previously felt unrealistic. You may start planning a change you've been thinking about for months. And there may also be a moment where you realize, I've thought about this enough. And that will be the turning point. Because Taurus, throughout this reading, we have hope. We have transformation. we have strategy, we have the emotional renewal, we have transition, research, the courage, and finally, action. The pattern is very clear. Heal, then explore, and then evaluate, and then move. Not heal, analyze forever, and wait for certainty. Taurus, mid-August isn't asking you to throw caution to the wind. It's asking you to recognize when caution has already done its job. You've learned the lesson. You've changed. You've become more discerning, and you've protected what needed protected. But now there may be something new asking for your participation. And whether that appears through love, work, creativity, travel, or simply a new way of approaching your own life, this message remains the same. You do not need complete certainty to start. The star in your past reminds you that hope returned for a reason. The Ace of Cups reminds you that your heart still has room for something new. And the Knight of Wands reminds you that eventually possibility has to become movement. So if you've been waiting for permission to try something, want something, or simply become a little more adventurous in your own life, permission is granted. Your job isn't to know exactly where that road leads. Your job is to recognize when the next step feels worth taking. And Taurus, something here looks worth exploring. Taurus, thank you so much for joining me here for your mid-August reading. We like to forage on the hidden path, so keep what you need and leave what you don't for the next person. And I'll see you on the hidden path again soon.